Okay, today we're going to go over Google AdWords. We're going to go over how not to waste your money using Google conversions and Shopping Cart Elite. We just released it actually 5 minutes ago, so you're right in time. Never seen it before. I'm going to tell you about a few tricks about AdWords that Google doesn't tell you. You'll definitely benefit from those. I'm going to show you where to go for complete AdWord classes for free. Google hid behind their website. Not sure why they did that, but I'll show you where that link is. We're going to create a first campaign together. So I'm going to use one of my stores, Secret Weapon Performance. I'm going to use that to show you how simple it is to do. I'll show you how to integrate Google Base with your AdWords and why you would do so. And I'm just going to show you a bunch of different demonstrations tonight. So the first thing is how not to waste your money. So the problem with AdWords, and I actually had this problem as far as I know up to today, I always had this problem with AdWords, and that is I'm going to put money into AdWords. Just in case, before I continue, for anyone who is not familiar with AdWords, this is a Google's pay-per-click. Just touch on it just in case. Just type in something else here. Okay, so anyone who advertises on AdWords is located under sponsored links, right-hand side and on top here. So basically, you pay for every click you get. Whenever somebody clicks on it, you pay for it. Just in case someone wasn't familiar with AdWords, I'm assuming that you know the basics, that you know what AdWords is and you heard about it. So if you're not going to know the basics, that's no problem, because I'm going to show you the videos which is going to teach you everything you need to know about AdWords. I'm talking about from creating your account to optimizing your campaigns to understanding every tiny little feature in AdWords. So I'll show you where the videos are. I'm going to show you how I set up a campaign. So just in case you don't want to go through the videos, you'll just see how quickly it is. So let me continue with wasting money. So the way that AdWords used to work, you would put money into your account, you would bid on several keywords, and then as customers or visitors came to your website, they would potentially buy something and you would see some revenue coming in. Sometimes they would leave and not buy anything. So on the most basic shopping carts, what would happen is you won't have any kind of tracking period, and you put money into AdWords, and because you have no way of tracking it to see if anyone actually bought anything from your website because of AdWords, you end up spending all the money and not doing anything. Some shopping carts let you track on how much more money AdWords brought to you, but they don't tell you exactly which campaign worked, and even if it worked, did you make any money on it? You know, it could be the case where you put money into AdWords, you end up making money back, but you don't know the exact number, your exact profit versus expense for AdWords that you made, and to see if you actually went negative or positive spending money on this advertising. So what I'm about to show you, there is not one shopping cart out there that has this integration. So in other words, anyone who would do this integration, they would actually have to do it custom for themselves. They would have to pay a developer to do it. And I'm sure many retailers out there do have this integration on their websites. Otherwise, they wouldn't be spending a lot of money with AdWords if they didn't. But as far as shopping carts, other than Shopping Cart Elite, they don't have this specific feature that I'm about to show you. So let's just jump into the feature that I'm talking about. If you go to your Shopping Cart Elite back office, you go to Store Management Settings, and then we click on Website. There is a new menu called Tracking Goals. What we do in Tracking Goals is when you create your Google AdWords account the very first time, it will look something like this, what you see on my screen here. This is what the first screen would look like with your AdWords, and if you click on Reporting and then click on Conversions, here you can create a new conversion. So because I'm going to be setting up a whole new campaign for my store and webinar, we're going to actually do some conversions here. So what a conversion is it basically, it's a tracking, in Google it's a tracking module that lets you track individuals who came from Google AdWords do on your website. And you can set up different conversions. You can say purchase So you want to see if the conversion purchased something. So in other words, if a visitor came to your website and purchased something, and when you say purchase, you want to put this purchase conversion code onto your last page of the checkout page, which Shopping Cart Elite does for you. So we're going to do two types of conversion trackings. We're going to do one called sign up. So we want to see if any of the individuals who came from AdWords resulted in registering on our website, which gave us an email address for a lead that we can contact later, which are also valuable. So we want to see how many people AdWords actually gave us towards the signing up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say webinar sign up. That's going to be my name. I'm going to say save and continue. AdWords doesn't want to save it. Try one last time. Okay, it seemed to work. All right, so once you did the conversion, when I press continue and I got that error, you would actually be here right now. And the first tab that's open is called Web Pages. And what Web Pages means is it actually tells you where this code was found, on which web page, and it tells you what the status of this code is. So because this is a brand new conversion code, it's not going to tell us any web pages at the moment, but once we implement it and the first visitor comes in and converts, at this point, it's going to show up. So the next thing we want to do is we want to get the code that we need to implement. And you see there's this edit settings for the code. We want to click on that. We want to change this to HTTPS. We want to save and get code. So now we have this big code here. So you can't copy and paste this code into Shopping Cart Elite, but what you can do is just implement it using the tracking goals. So what we're going to do is we're going to say add, and we're going to say Google is the provider. We want to do the registration page because we want to put this code if somebody signs up on our website or registers on our website. So this is called the registration page. We're going to just copy and paste the values from here to here. So see, it says conversion ID, and it gives you a number. We just want to keep the number, no equal signs, no semicolons, nothing, just the number. We want to put under the ID. For the language, we put language. So just copy and paste. Okay. And for description, we want to just put, sign up pages just for our own records. Now the last thing, see it says value 0. What the value means, if you press edit settings, see it says here, revenue for your conversion. Provide an amount to track this action's value to you. This value is only for your reporting purposes and will not affect your campaign anyway. So what this means is how much is this sign up worth to you? You can say it doesn't work. He's not worth anything to me, or you can say $1 or $2, whatever. We'll just say nothing. Let's say they're not really worth anything to us. So we're going to say okay. So we have the registration page. So now anybody coming from AdWords comes to our website and registers to become a user of our website, potentially a customer, will get tracked in this conversion code. Now the second conversion code we want to do is called webinar real sale. And we want to put this onto purchase sale. We want to put it on our checkout area. So I'm going to say it's an HTTPS, save get code. And basically we're going to do the same exact thing that we did for the registration, except now we're going to say it's for checkout. And we're going to say, final sale. We're going to copy the same stuff that we did on the last one we did. Now here's the really cool part, which is what no one else has. Instead of putting the value 0 or $5 or whatever, anyone can buy different products from your website. They can buy, an intake for $100. They can buy an exhaust for $1,000. And even if you track the total, the grand total of the sale, that still doesn't give you the real number because you still have to pay for the goods. Google doesn't know how much the goods cost you. So this value is really irrelevant to you if you can only put a static one. So this is where this comes in. You can put grand total, order profit, or subtotal. So the way the order profit works, it takes your total goods sold minus the cost of it. So because in Shopping Cart Elite you're required to put the cost of the goods, so you're supposed to put how much you pay for the goods or for the product. So what it does is the way it calculates your profit, it subtracts the total that you sold the product for, of course minus the shipping, and it subtracts the cost of the goods, giving you a real number. And it pre-fills that number for each conversion differently or dynamically. So in other words, if somebody comes in through AdWords and buys an exhaust for $1,000 and you only make $100, when you're going to come back here in a month or in a week and you're going to see, how many conversions you got on your checkout page, instead of seeing the total amount of product sold, you're going to see how much profit you made from AdWords. So basically you're going to be tracking profit. The reason why it's important, because then you can see how much you spent in AdWords for your campaign versus how much profit you made based on these conversions, and that will give you the result if it's worth proceeding or not. Now, another thing is that on the campaign level itself, and we'll build one together, but I'm just going to jump in it and just show you real quick. On the campaign itself, when someone comes in from a specific keyword, so somebody came in from this keyword, Tiburon Dash Kit, and purchased something based on this keyword, in here where it says cost per conversion, it's actually going to do the calculations automatically. So the way Google tracks all of this is using IP addresses. So basically it says, okay, an IP address triggered conversion number 1 on registration, and that IP also came into this website through a specific keyword. So in other words, it's going to say somebody came in, let's give some numbers. Let's say IP address 1 came through Google using this keyword, Tiburon Dash Kit, and we charged them 35 cents. Then 5 minutes later, that same IP address triggered the conversion, which we set up a second ago, on the checkout page with the same IP address on the same website, resulting in a certain dollar amount of profit based on this rule here. So it's going to show it to you how much cost per conversion, conversion rate, and how many conversions you got. So it's actually going to show you all of this and do the calculations for you. But just in case you want to see the overall picture of how much money you made versus how much money you spent, this is going to be the tool for you. So you're not going to be guessing anymore if AdWords is worth for you to continue or not, because you can put in $100, which later on in the meeting I'm going to show you how to get $100 coupons so you can test it out for free and see how it works out for you. And theoretically, if you do this right, $500 or $1,000 in sales easily paying off. Well, you're not paying anything off because it's a free coupon, but you can kind of head start your campaign, and if you start to make money with it, you can just reinvest into Google AdWords or get another coupon if you still are not comfortable. All right, so this is basically how that tool is going to work, and this is going to be responsible for making sure you don't waste any money on Google AdWords. You know exactly what's sold, how many signups you got, how many sales you got from AdWords specifically, and you can then later compare if it's worth it for you to continue or not. Okay, tricks in AdWords. So I'm not going to get into the basics here. I'm going to assume that you know everything, and like I said, even if you don't worry, because there's tutorials that are going to teach you everything you need to know. I'm going to show you little tricks. So, few tricks. The way Google ranks you, they actually use a very similar algorithm to ranking you organically. Let me explain. What they're looking for is a really good quality ad pointing to a really good landing page, and they want to see people buy your product because they know that if they do this right and you follow the rules, you're going to be a very long-term customer. And especially with the conversion tools, if you put in $100 and make $1,000 in net profit, for example, you would then put another $500 or $1,000 and make $10,000 and so on. So they know that if they do it right and you do it right, that you're going to become a very good client of Google, which is why they base their system off of this. Setting up Google campaigns, I'm going to tell you right now, is very hard This is not an easy task. It might look pretty transparent. You might think, oh, I'm just going to go in and just bid on a few keywords and I'll do good. You're absolutely wrong. I would probably say this is like the most hideous thing you can possibly do, which is why a lot of people outsource this work to someone who knows what they're doing, and or regardless if they know what they're doing or not, you need to know what you're doing because you need to be able to explain to whoever you're hiring overseas or whatever, to tell them how to do it and then check them to make sure that they did it right. So why is it so hideous? Because they actually want you to structure your AdWords exactly how you have your website structured. So I'm sure anyone familiar, if you've been in Shopping Complete for a while, and okay, just to give you an idea, like all of these categories here, which they're not even organized, so that's not even that much. They want you to do the same thing on AdWords manually. Okay, there's no fast way of doing this. And they want you to point each ad to the product page on your website. So in other words, if you don't do this, you're most likely going to waste your time. So if you're thinking, I'm just going to put one product and put a bunch of keywords for it, forget about it. It's not going to work. So the trick is that they want to reward their advertisers for spending time creating their campaign, which means that the longer you do your campaign and the slower you do it and the longer you do it, they'll actually reward you for it. But you also have to do it right. So just to give you a quick idea of what I mean by that, your main campaign has to do with, I guess, there's two ways of doing it. You can either structure it where it's for a single website, or if you plan on using one account for one website, a better idea would be to structure it by categories. So, for example, let's say this account here is going to be for just my webinar store. So what I would want to do is I want to make one campaign for air intakes, one campaign for exhausts, one campaign for something else, specifically for my webinar store. If you decide that you want to run more than one website on your one account, then you would want to have one campaign for the whole website and then structure it that way. This could be either your website or your main category. Then you go down to an ad group. This is like super important. Ad group is like your subcategory, except they make it sound like it's a subcategory, but in reality, they go down to a product page. So imagine ad group as being your product page. In my case, it's this example here is dash trim kit. So the ad group would be for one specific product, which is why it would take you so long to do, because if you have, let's say, 50 products, you would need 50 ad groups, one ad group per product. I guess we're going to go into, like when I'm going to be building my campaign for webinar, I'll show you exactly what I mean by this. And keep in mind that when I say per product, I'm talking about per part number, not per product in general, which means if your air intake has 300 part numbers in it, then you would want to call this air intake or engine air intake and list one ad group for each part number. So you would have air intake and you would have 300 part numbers going down the list. That's how they want it structured, which is why it's so time consuming, but at the end it's worth it. So basically the first trick is that you cannot do this fast. You have to do this slow. The idea behind AdWords is don't try to list the whole 9 yards. Don't try to list your whole website on it. Try to concentrate on 5 products at a time, the ones you make the most money on and the ones you have the best prices on. This way, you're not going to spend your budget right away, and you might actually end up doing it right and getting a lot of clicks and conversions from it because you did it right. So the first trick, you can even write it down, is that you need to structure it just like your website, going all the way down to the part number. So one ad group is going to be for a part number. That's the only way you're going to get this working perfectly. Now, Google, the way it works is like this. You can bid, let's say, $1 for this keyword. And you see it says impressions and click-through ratio. So impressions is how many times your ad got shown when somebody searched for Tiburon Dash Kit. And click-through ratio is how many people clicked on your ad. You see under status, when I go mouse over, it tells me my quality score, and it says 5 out of 10. So the idea is this, that if you ever go above 5, let's say you go 7 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, it is possible that you're going to pay 50 to 70% less per click and be above your competitors who are paying $1 or $2 a click or even more. It's even also possible that you can be number one paying the least amount of money. So the way Google made the system, it's based on rewards. And the reward is that if you have a perfect ad with perfect relevancy and our customers love it, Google's customers love it, and they come to your website and they buy stuff from you, you can even pay 10 cents a click and be number one, while then the guy who's number two is paying $3 per click. I mean, it's not going to be, by that much, but 50 to 70% is realistic. So, if you're paying, let's say, $1 or 80 cents per click, and the guy who's number two could be paying $2 or $3 per click, and the reason why, because you have a better score than he does. So a minute ago, when I said that Google AdWords is similar to Google organic search, like how you rank there, because with Google organic search, link exchanges play the role of building up the score for your website and ranking you for certain keywords. And the more links you have, the more reward you get by ranking higher in the search engine. With AdWords, the more clicks you get from the total impressions, the higher your relevancy will become. And the relevancy score, or AKA the quality score, plays as see keyword relevance. So they go to your web page and they see if you have an image, if you have keyword density, 3%, which is in shopping cart lead. If you optimize your content perfectly, they'll value that as well. They check a lot of things. I mean, I don't know everything that they check, but the biggest thing that I found out, which is what they don't tell you, how with organic search engine optimization, they tell you need to optimize this, you need to optimize that, and you got to have this, and you got to have everything. But what they don't tell you is link exchanges plays the heaviest role on how your website ranks, which means you can have enough links coming into your website and have absolutely no other SEO stuff on it, and you'll still rank higher than someone who has all the SEO stuff on it but doesn't have enough links. So this is the same thing. The trick that they don't tell you is your click-through ratio, which is how many times people click. See the 37% in here because there was 8 impressions and 3 clicks. The higher your click-through ratio is, the higher you're going to rank. That's all you need to know, really. So make sure that they don't have any problems with keyword relevancy and landing page quality and page load time and so on. That's sort of like the regular SEO stuff. The most important thing is impressions. Now here's a funny trick about impressions. Like I always thought about, like, why would they structure the system this way? Well, before, back in, 2002 maybe or something like that, Yahoo had a system where you can pay per click and the highest bidder took the highest spot. And what would end up happening is, let's say this is me, for example. Let's say TrimStop is me, and this is my competitor, DashKit King. Now, I know this is before, this is when Google AdWords was still coming out and Yahoo was kind of in the lead. The way the Yahoo system worked, if I paid $1, I can actually see what this guy pays. Like Yahoo actually showed you who pays what for their clicks. And if I paid $1 and he paid $1.02, I know that if I click on him 100 times, he's going to end up paying $100 for my clicks and not get any sales from it. Obviously, money doesn't come out of the sky, so if you click enough times, his campaign goes over budget and his ad gets taken off for the day, and you go to the number 2 spot. So what a lot of people would do is called, click fraud, and they would, oversee people to go and click on their competitors and get them off the list. So when I thought about it, like, why would Google consider click-through ratio so important? Well, they did it to minimize click fraud, because if I type in dash kits and TrimStop is me, and I know that I'm paying, let's say, $1.50 for my keyword, first of all, Google doesn't tell me how much this guy is paying. He can be paying 25 cents for all I know. But if I keep clicking on him to waste his money on clicks, all I'm doing is getting him higher in position, because since click-through ratio plays such a big role in ranking your website on Google AdWords, it's possible that if I keep clicking on you right here, you're going to end up being from number 2 to being number 1 and paying less per click than I am. So that's how their system works. Their system works based on rewards, that the more clicks you get, the higher you get, and the less you pay. Which brings me to my other thing, is if you really want to get to the number 1 position and you have $5 or $10 from the AdWord coupons, for example, or you just have $5 to $10 to invest, what they don't account for is if I'm here and I'm paying 20 cents per click, if I search for dash kits and I keep pressing on my own ad, my click-through ratio goes up, and I end up going higher than my competitors, and eventually I'll end up being number 1. So even though I paid Google out of my own pocket for my own ads, I end up going higher than my competitors, and down the line I can end up paying less than my number 1 competitor. They don't tell you this because this is a trick that I just told you about. If you're going to be doing it, I'm sure most of you probably won't because you might not be competing for really hot keywords. But if you're going to be doing it, make sure use different IPs, spend time on your website, maybe possibly even do fake checkouts, like just go through the whole checkout process, even if it's $1 or $2. You can refund yourself afterwards, and that's how you can build up your click-through ratio, which is going to rank you higher than your competitor on AdWords without you paying. For example, if you want to be number 1 for most keywords, forget about the old days where it used to be 5 cents a click or 10 cents a click. Nowadays, it's like minimum of $1 to $5. It could be even more than $5 per click. And sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes it's not. That's why you have the conversion tool. But if you end up clicking on your own ad and investing $10 or $20 in clicks, and you end up being in position number 2 or number 1 or number 3 and continuing to pay 20 cents a click, it's still worth it than paying $2 every time. So I'm not saying you should do it, but it's good to know that that's how it works. The next thing is Google.com, which is the Google's search engine, is one network that you can advertise on. So this is, Google Search, that's what it's called. The Google Content Network, I believe the Content Network touches 70% of the World Wide Web. So in other words, Google takes 60% of the search traffic, but you might have people visiting other websites other than Google. And the Google Content Network touches 70% of the whole internet in the whole world, which means, just to give you an example, if I have a niche store for Chrysler 300, most likely I can advertise on every single Chrysler 300 form, let's say there's 100 of them or 50 of them or 10 of them or 5 of them, through the content network that Google AdWords provides to me, which is a cool thing to have. There's a problem with content network, which is a trick that they don't tell you. I'm going to tell you right now what the problem with it is. First of all, let me show you where it is. If you go, let me first go to settings. If you click on change campaign settings, I believe it is under networks and devices, edit. You can say all available sites, or let me choose, and you can say, do you want to be a part of Google Search? Do you want to be a part of search partners that use the Google Search? Then you can say, do you want to be a part of the content network? And do you want to be a part of relevant pages across the entire network? Or do you want to manage your own? Now, in networks, under, I believe, managed placement, let me just go to this campaign instead. It's not a lot, but just to give you an idea. Actually, let me see, maybe there's more here. Okay, usually you have a managed placement, automatic placement. So you see, like under networks, you see there's search, so Google Search, you have search partners. You have managed placement, which means you actually said you want to manage the campaign for them. And you have automatic placement, which Google automatically places you into. Personally, I don't have a lot of experience with networks because it never really worked for me, and the main reason why, because the feature that Google just came out with where they show you which network sends you what kind of traffic and so on, this is very new, and I never actually used it to manage it. So I personally only set up my campaigns for Google search, which is this. But here's the tricks about Google search and content networks, which is what they don't tell you. The Google search is for very direct visitors. Somebody who goes on google.com and types in exactly what they're looking for and then finds your ad. The content network looks something like, see, it says ads by Google, and then they have a bunch of different ads. So the content network is basically any website on the internet that offers Google AdSense on their website, and that's considered a content network. So here you can see it says ads by Google, and I guess this article is talking about some decorating walls. So the Google AdSense algorithm, sees who would be a good partner for this article, and they basically display the relevant ads. So you can see restaurant wall decor, window treatments, furniture deals, and so on. So Google finds relevant websites that might be a good source of traffic for you, and they show your website on there. That's what a content network is. Now, a content network is made up of very impulsive buyers. So even if you're looking at very targeted niches like Chrysler 300, for example, and then you advertise on a Chrysler 300 form, I believe there was a form just right a second ago. I just saw it here. Here, Chrysler 300C forms. Let me go to it, Chrysler300cforms.com. Okay, you see there's ads by Google. So you have Chrysler 300 grills, Chrysler 300 photos, Chrysler 300 accessories. The problem with content network is you're never going to sell a specific part to your customer using the content network. It's very rare. The reason why, imagine you have 1,000 or 50,000 different part numbers for the Chrysler 300. And if you're going to start showing your ads for random parts, all 50,000 of them on the content network, one of them out of the 50,000 will show up. What are the chances that the customer sees this ad, clicks on it, maybe they're confused, maybe they just want to check it out to see what you have there, and buys it? 1 out of 50,000 part numbers. It's pretty rare that you're going to get a sale, which is why I never used Content Network myself, because I just saw click. I saw a lot of people coming in. I'm spending a lot of money. I didn't see a lot of return from it. And I also didn't really understand how to use it before. So that's why I always shut it off. So let me tell you how to do it right so it pays off. Let's look at this from a different perspective. Let's say that you have a Chrysler 300 website, and you want to advertise on Chrysler 300 forms with your banner ad. Let's say you just want to advertise on here. Would you advertise a single part number, a random one, or would you advertise your whole website or a specific category of your website because you knew that that specific category is really hot? For example, grills, this guy is a good example. He knows that he can really sell grills for Chrysler 300s. He sells them all the time. That's what he wants to display on the Chrysler 300 form. So basically, content network buyers are very impulsive. They're ready to buy right this second. They don't have time to go and research, which means whatever you're going to show on the content network has to be a really good deal. And it can't be for a specific part number. It has to be for a specific product that will sell, which is why it's very, think about it, that even if you're selling grills for a Chrysler 300, once you launch it on your content network, you might have other websites that are not Chrysler 300. You might have Dodge Magnum, for example, right? Or you might have like a totally different car, like a Cadillac, that might want to buy grills from you. But if your ad talks about Chrysler 300 grills and your ad shows up on a content network for Cadillac or from like a totally irrelevant website, and you're going to get that click, you're going to pay for that click, and then they're definitely not going to buy anything. So it's very important that if you do content network, you monitor who is advertising your ads, and you can delete them. So I don't have them here because I don't have a lot of them, but usually if you turn your content network on, you'll see a lot of websites on your list, and you'll see a lot of websites that are showing you impressions, and some of them are clicking on your ad. So what you want to do, here's the trick that they don't tell you. What you want to do is if you decide that you want to advertise on the content network, make sure you separate your search from your content network campaigns completely. So you would have a campaign air intakes for Google search, then you would have a campaign for air intakes for the content network, and you would separate them totally, completely, so they're not a part of each other. The other thing is that the content network, the way they choose where to place your ads is based on the amount of keywords you have. So maybe you would have an ad group for the content network, and you would have air intakes and cold air intake and short RAM intake and so on, like a bunch of different keywords. So your ad group would be called air intakes, and you would promote a bunch of different keywords for your air intakes. So in here you would have air intakes, and you would have a bunch of them here. So the way they would find out who to put you on is, like, which partner to partner you up with, is if you have a lot of air intake keywords, they're going to say, okay, you have a very high relevancy for the term air intake, and whoever else has a high relevancy for air intake and they offer AdSense on their sites, they're going to link you to them, which might end up giving you some sales. So those are the tricks. If you think this was a lot, wait until you watch the Google tutorials. They're about 3 hours long between all of them. Well, maybe not. Okay, I'm not going to scare you. Maybe not 3 hours, but definitely like 2 hours. Plus, you have to go back to it and try to understand what it says, so it's probably going to be 3 hours. And I did watch them all. I learned a lot from those that I did not know from the past 10 years. Finally, Google decided to make their own tutorials and their own websites that you don't have to pay $1,000 for, which, regardless, it's nice to know. So, AdWords classes. For those that did not see the last webinar, we made new tutorials under Help Tutorials. There's tutorials by topic and by module. We used to have by module, now we have topic. And I made a new topic called Advertise with Google AdWords. So first video is what is AdWords? It's 2 minutes. It's a YouTube video clip. This is how to create an AdWords account. Once you created your AdWords account, that's how you can access the classes. Otherwise, you cannot access those classes without an AdWords account. Right here, there's a link, AdWords classes by Google, free. You would basically, if you click on any one of these and watch this course now, you have to log in. And if you don't have a username and password, you can click here to register. And you have to provide your AdWords ID, which is why you need to have an AdWords account. To set up an AdWords account, it's free, but then you need to, before you add a credit card, you might want to implement a coupon on it if you want to try it out. So I gave you a link to eBay, which basically searches for AdWords coupons, and you can buy one for I like to just buy it now. I don't bother bidding, but like here, $15 free shipping, you get $100 in AdWords coupon. $4 free shipping, $75 coupon. Unless you get them in the mail yourself. If you don't, there's no way to request it from them. They just randomly send it out. So your best bet is to just spend $10 and get $100 in ads from Google. So here's a link here, and this link is just for the Google YouTube business channel in case you feel proactive and you want to watch more videos. If the classes weren't enough, you can watch their YouTube channel. I don't have a video yet on how to implement the goals, but from this webinar, it's pretty self-explanatory how to do it. You click add, copy and paste it from the conversions, and you'll be done. So that's as far as the classes. Now, don't start AdWords until you watch these, because these are pretty important. Like, it tells you everything about your account, how to build a successful AdWords account, why can't you see your ad, how to improve your AdWords. This one is optional, find new insights. Basically, it tells you everything about AdWords. It's a huge system. Like, it looks really small from the side, but it's so huge, and it's pretty complicated to set up, but once you do it, it's pretty rewarding. Because if you set it up once and you set it up right, it's going to keep bringing you traffic, keep converting that traffic. You're going to get paid for it, and then you're going to make your profits. You're going to see exactly how much you're making. So it's worth it to set it up, but don't just, some people I spoke with, I gave them a coupon code. I had a few, and they just went in and put in a very general keyword, shoved a bunch of URLs to their website, and it was a waste of time, and they didn't get anywhere. They didn't use up not even their advertising, but like the coupon, and they gave up on it. So if you don't do it right, you will definitely just give up on it because you're not going to get anywhere with it. But just so you know, most of their revenue comes from, besides the fact that like majority of their revenue comes from advertising, like 95% or 97%, I don't know the exact number, from AdWords and AdSense. A lot of people advertise on there, and you can see it for yourself, like all those sponsored links, and people stay there forever. They don't do it for no reason. They do it because it makes sense and it makes the money. When I used to advertise on AdWords with Auto Accessory Store, I believe I spent about $800 a month, and it would constantly bring me about $9,000 to $10,000 gross sales, which resulted in about $2,500 to $3,000 in profits, minus my expense of $800. I ended up with about $2,000, maybe a little less, every month in my pocket from the AdWords. So it's like I said, it's worth it. You should try it. It's going to cost you. If you have a coupon, it's free. If you don't have a coupon, it might cost you $4 to $10 to try it. It's definitely worth it, especially if you do it right. Okay, so let's quickly set up a fast campaign, and I'm going to show you how Google Base plays a huge role in this. In fact, I'm going to start with Google Base just so you can understand what a huge role it plays in this AdWords. I actually did a search, random search, racing seats, right? And check this out. There's images. This is like the same size image as Google Shopping. So if you're really happy about Google Base, how much traffic is bringing you and how much revenue it brings to you, AdWords is exactly the same, except you're guaranteed to be on the first page because, first of all, not a lot of people integrated Google Base. I already went over this a little bit ago, that not everyone has the technology like Shopping Cart Elite where they can go and list 800,000 products with one click of a button and have it automatically maintained and relisted automatically every month with no errors and no maintenance. And the beauty about AdWords is it integrates your Google Base account with your AdWords, and they do all the matching for you. It's just as easy as Shopping Cart Elite turning on Google Base. AdWords is just as easy integrating Google Base because you click on a button to say integrate my Google Base, and whatever it finds relevant between Google Base and your AdWords, it will automatically display a picture there and promote the listing from Google Base. So you can see it here that I type in racing seats and I get these three random results, Amazon and whatever, on Google Base Shopping. But then you got these three guys that are paying for their clicks, and they're almost guaranteed the exposure for this keyword, and most likely they're going to get the clicks because who looks more relevant? If I'm looking for a yellow racing seat, for example, this guy has a yellow racing seat in the picture. It stands out versus someone who doesn't have a picture at all. It's definitely worth it, especially if you have Google Base on already and you're making money from products on Google Base. Maybe you want to see which product sells all the time using Google Base, and then you want to integrate an AdWord campaign for those products and then integrate your Google Base into your AdWords. Let me just set up a quick campaign for webinar. And by the way, my next webinar coming up, optimizing your homepage and categories, you must come to it. We found some really amazing breakthroughs about structuring your homepage to increase sales, and we had really good results with our sites, and we're going to show you how to do it right. So definitely make sure you make it, or if you don't make it, make sure you watch the video. Type in webinar. Here's the site. So my how to seller is the secret weapon air intake, and I want to promote this using AdSense. So I already made my tracking codes. Now I'm ready to make my ad. So we're going to start right from the very, very beginning, just like you would when you just log in. Okay? So I'm going to click on my campaign. We want to create a new one. So there's a new campaign button. You might have a big one here if you have none. So we want to say new campaign, and we want to promote webinar secret intakes. And notice that I don't want to promote the whole website. I can really care less about every product on this website. I only want to promote what I really sell a lot of, what I really get a lot of searches on, and what I make the most money on, because I'm spending money on AdWords, and I want to get the biggest return I can without spending a lot of time. It's not going to be worth it for me to optimize, AdWords for like a hose that I make $1 on when I can do an intake and make $50, for example. So I want to only promote secret weapon intakes. I want to promote it US and Canada, so you can say, how deep down you want to promote it. Do not do all countries unless it's relevant to you. So stick to US and Canada, or just US, in fact. For ad networks, I don't want to do content network because I really don't care about other websites promoting my product. I'm most likely going to get the best results from the search. I may be wrong because I'm only promoting one intake, which theoretically that means that I might get, someone selling webinar might have ads next to their product and my ad might come up. But again, remember what I said. Keep your content network separate, completely separate from your Google search. These are two separate different advertising platforms. I really, the only reason I see why Google combined those two for you, because they want to make more money on it, because they make much more money on content network than Google search. And that's why they have it here together. It really has to be separate. I don't care what anybody says. It has to be separate. Okay, what devices do I want to get displayed on? So my website, different people, they have different businesses. They promote different things. My specific website is probably not going to be a website that somebody goes to on their mobile phone and buys something from it. So I'm going to disable the iPhone and other mobile devices. What's pretty funny is that they mention iPhone here instead of their own Android system, even though they're heavily competing. All right, the next thing is, what is your budget for the day? So if you have a $100 coupon, you might want to use it up within a week or maybe a month. I usually put my budgets as like $20. Then you can manually bid for clicks, or you can do advanced. Advanced is automatic bidding. Honestly, I don't know why they have it. I mean, the only way automatic works is if you have a lot of niche, very tiny niche keywords. You have no idea how much people are bidding on them, and the automatic, what it does is it basically starts off with like 5 cents or 10 cents and goes up every day a little by little, and depending, it sees how far you're in the results. I think it's pointless, so I just stick with manual. One thing that is something to consider is once you see the conversions coming in, you might want to switch to focus on conversion optimizer, which is this thing right here. You can't click on it because it says you don't have enough conversion data. What the conversion optimizer does is it actually makes the decisions for you based on how much money the conversions are bringing you and how much the click is going to cost and how relevant that click is. So basically what it does is something that you can't do manually. It does it automatically using an algorithm, and it displays your ad to the right person, in other words, to make it simple. And I personally never tried this because this is also a new feature, but I've been hearing a lot of good stuff about it. A lot of people saying that it works very, very nice. If you have enough conversions coming in and you have the opportunity to try it, definitely try it and see if that's going to give you more sales. So we have left with Google locations. We don't care about this. Here's the Google base that I was telling you about. See, products, use product images and information from my Google Merchant Center. If you press edit, you can say connect to my Merchant Center, and it tells you which account is already connected to you, which is why it's kind of important to use a single AdWords email for one website this way, and make sure that your Google base is on that same account. And down the line, we're going to be integrating Google Checkout. You want to have that on the same account as well. So just try to have one Gmail account for each website that you have. Okay, demographics. we don't care about it because we're not in the content network. So that's it. This is the settings for your campaign. Now you're ready to make the ad itself. So the ad group is going to be about secret weapon air intakes. And there's ebooks and there's all kinds of stuff about how to write your ad properly. And I even sat through some like 2-hour webinars of people like going so deep into how to write an ad properly. It's pretty interesting. And I'm sure, if I really put my mind to it, I can probably get a few more sales because my ad is better than the other ads. But watch the videos from Google. They tell you the little tricks that they recommend. Here's an ad preview. They basically tell you make a really nice headline for your subcategory or description line 1. Talk about some special deal or something that's going to be relevant to your customers, and then talk about a special deal here. So let me follow their advice, okay? I'm going to say you got to imagine that you are the shopper looking for a secret weapon intake on Google. What would you type in on Google before buying the intake? So I had good luck with like the word buy. So buy secret weapon intake. For description, lowest prices guaranteed. If you have a phone number, you might want to put that in. It's always good. Coupon codes, next day shipping, or let's do next day free shipping. It's not going to be overnight shipping. It's going to ship next day after they order, and it's going to be free shipping. So lowest prices guaranteed, next day shipping. Again, this is not. I'm not teaching you on how to write the ad properly. That's a whole subject of its own. Like I said, I probably spent 6 or 7 hours of my life listening to other people talk about it, and it is a pretty big subject. It's pretty relevant if you're going to really get serious into it. I'm not going to go into how to write an ad properly in here. Display URL is also just more keywords and how to target. So I guess we can just do. We'll put secret weapon intake. Weapon. Oh, I can't even put it in here. Whatever. I'll just use the same one. Now, remember what I told you about being very specific on the part numbers? So if you believe that all your part numbers are perfect, you might want to make one ad group for all secret weapon intakes. So you can say all secret weapon intakes, and we're just going to link everyone to all of our intakes on this page and try to choose relevant keywords for it. If you click on select keywords, it's going to give you some samples of what you can choose from. So it's loading some stuff. You want to be very, very specific about choosing stuff for weapon R and not the general keywords. We don't want to do air intake. It's too general. Yes, we want to do weapon R. We don't want to do any of these. We want to do weapon R, but again, we don't want to do the dragon because we're promoting secret weapon. And weapon R is not a very, it's not a huge niche where people search all the time for it, so it's very small actually. And as you can see for yourself, there's not a lot of keywords that we can rank for that Google recommends. We can put our own keywords that if we think that if they're good, but I'm looking strictly for weapon R stuff. I don't want to see any cold air intakes or anything like that. That traffic will probably result in no sales. I want people who are looking specifically for what I'm selling. I wish they can just break it down by find me all weapon R and not. Okay, here, weapon R, secret. These are all K&N. Okay, so this is what Google recommends, and I'm going to put what they recommend for my ad. Later on, I can make another ad group called more. You don't want to put a lot of keywords. So one of the things that Google does when they evaluate your click-through ratio, yes, they do it for each keyword, but they also account for your whole ad group, which means if one of your keywords does very well, but 4 of your keywords do very poorly, your overall ad group relevancy score is going to fall, and you're not going to get that higher ranking that I was talking about earlier. So try to keep 5 keywords at most. If you want to add another 5 for all secret weapon intakes, then do another ad group and put another 5. Keep it very, very small. Like the most I think anyone recommended was like 15 to 20 keywords. I like to stick to, unless those 15 and 20 are super relevant to each other, I'll do those, but I want to stick to like very niche words. Also keep in mind like these match types that you can set. The AdWord classes tells you about the benefits of putting negative keywords. Negative keywords means keyword that doesn't match this term. Where would you use this? It's actually very important. I don't want my keywords showing up when people search for weapon, for example. So I'm going to put a minus weapon. Why? Because someone who searches for weapon, see, broad match means that some of the words match. Match exact phrase is if the exact phrase is matched. Match exact term, basically match exact phrase is if you have like certain phrases. So like if you have this thing, let me give you a better idea. If you have buy and then weapon R air intake, you can say that I want to match this phrase together whenever somebody searches for anything. And buy and air intake could be, separate. Exact phrase is if you want to match the exact phrase that's here. So I can say I want to match this exact phrase in Google. And the minus key means you don't want to show your ad for this keyword if it's searched for. So instead of going and match exact term weapon R, I just said anything that's searched for weapon, don't trigger my ad. And there might be other things like don't trigger my ad for the term secret. Don't trigger my ad for the letter R. So whatever, because keep in mind that the more impressions you have, you don't want more impressions. What you want is you want more clicks. That's what you want. If you get more impressions, your click-through ratio goes down, your score goes down. So your goal is to get more clicks. So whenever you decide on which keyword you want to choose for, and when you decide, exact phrase or match the term only or get rid of negative keywords, keep in mind that you're looking for more clicks, not more exposure with impressions. More impressions is bad. More clicks is good. Okay, we're almost done here. We're finishing up this one group here. So your influence, okay, so default bid. So what do we want to bid for these keywords? Like what is going to be our initial bid? Personally, I like to start with 50 cents because usually I end up like in position 2, 3, 4. And 2, 3, 4 is not bad. Like a lot of people say, well, position 1 is the best. Yes, but also people who shop for products might click on 1 and then go to position 2 and 3 and so on to shop around. So in fact, you might get less clicks on position 2 to 5, but the clicks that you do get are much more relevant than the click on position 1. So if you have extra money, go for position 1. But if you want to be economical about it and get higher quality traffic that actually might buy something, then go for lower position. So the goal here is to keep between position 1 and 3, maybe 4. You don't want to go lower than that. So 1 to 3 is a safe number. You can see approximately where you are once you're bidding on it. So I'll just start with 60 cents to be safe. So save ad group. That's it. You're done. Here you go. Your campaign is ready. All secret weapon air intakes is your ad group. Here's your keywords. You always start with a good quality score. It usually goes down if you didn't do it right, and that's your trigger if you did it right or not. The ad is not shown yet because it's pending review by AdWords, so it's going to take a few minutes, sometimes an hour, for them to approve your ads. If you're on Shopping Code Elite, your ads will be approved if they're not violating, the trademarks or anything like that. Google requires you to have a privacy policy and terms and conditions and a professional website and a shopping cart and so on, and you have all of that with Shopping Cart Elite, so you don't have to worry about that not being approved. So your ads will be approved, and from there on, you can see, where you're ranking and keep monitoring your ads. Like if, you might want to put more ads. Usually, I like to play with 2 ads and see which one is better. Whichever one is better after a few weeks, I delete the one that's bad and put another one. So I keep trying to make my ad better. The best way to do the ads is see what other people are doing who are your competitors? Well, I don't really have a lot of them for intakes for webinar. In fact, I don't have anyone competing with me. But those that might be competing with you, if they're number 1, number 2, number 3 position, most likely they've been there for a while, and most likely they got a pretty good ad down. So you might want to start with their ad. Yeah, it's okay, to copy. It's not, rocket science to come up with 3 words. You can take their ad, see how it does for you, and then optimize it and make it better after you see what it does so far. There's a lot more stuff to this, and I'm not going to go over it because the Google AdWords classes go over it. So I basically went over whatever I thought was important for you to know that the AdWords does not cover. I'll tell you one more thing, that one of the shopping cart elite, the reason why we even did this whole AdWords webinar, because one of the shopping cart elite clients is using AdWords for his website, selling auto parts, and he does about $34,000 in sales using AdWords, spending about $3,000 to $4,000 in AdWords itself, which pays it off very well for him. And he started off by investing, I believe, like $500, and he kind of moved up from there. He wasn't doing the conversions, so he's like extremely excited about these conversions that we implemented. But it's been working for him. It's been putting a lot of money in his pocket. And considering that you can try this out for very cheap or free if you have the coupon already, if you don't, like I said, it's like $4 to $15 for $100 to start with, and if you do it right, that $100 is going to monetize for you. This webinar spends about, because I have this webinar on my other account, the webinar spends about $100 a month in clicks, and I believe it does about maybe $200 or $2,500 in sales. It does $2,500 in sales for a $100 coupon that I got. And if I put $100, I get $2,500 in gross sales minus whatever my margin is, 20-30%. I end up making money at the end. So if you get the $100 coupon from eBay, or if you have one, and do it right for the products you definitely know you have a good price on, and you do it right on Google AdWords itself, you can monetize your $100 coupon for like $3,000-$4,000 in gross sales, which will put $500 to $1,000 in your pocket, and then you can decide if you want to continue with AdWords and do more campaigns or more sites. So this is, I know a lot of people say this is the easiest way to get traffic because you pay for it. As you can see, it's not that easy to set up, but once you set it up and you're done with it, then it's easy because you're kind of just monetizing on without doing much on it. So this is the end of the webinar. If anyone has any questions, put them in the chat and I will answer them for you. Again, to watch all these Google tutorials, you go to Shopping Cart Elite, Help Tutorials, by topic, advertise with Google AdWords. Here's all your recommended ones. Here's the optional one. And the webinar we had today will be posted online within a week. The knowledge base link, which is located right here. If you click knowledge base from the home page, all the webinars are being put here in the archive. So if you want to watch it again later. Okay, I don't see any questions. So if anyone will have a question, you can email me directly. I'm sure you have my email. If not, it's igor@shoppingcartelite.com, and I'll be happy to help you answer that question. Thanks for coming, everyone.